Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here on this late afternoon at Adweek Europe. We're so thrilled to be here with you. We have an illustrious panel for you today. I will let each of them introduce themselves in reverse order, starting with Mr. Damien.
I wasn't ready for that. Afternoon, everybody. I'm Damien Scragg. I'm the GM for the international part of Veritonic. We're a measurement, research and analytics platform focusing mainly on audio and CTV, helping our clients with things like brand lift, attribution, and also creative insights pre-market.
I guess I'm next. I'm Emma Raz. I run commercial operation at NumberEight. And NumberEight is an idealist audience intelligence platform where we specialize in hard-to-address media, including podcasting, but also mobile and gaming and more channels to come. And what we help is engaging the right audiences at scale, high quality, and without pesky IDs. So that's the part where idealists kind of come in. And this is why we kind of work in this environment.
And I'm Alana Vaughns. I work for BBC Studios. And just to be clear, that means that I work at the commercial side of the BBC. So I manage our ad revenue partnerships with global sales teams that get to represent our amazing content. And I also get to work with measurement partners who help us tell stories around the important stories around our audiences and how brands can effectively sit alongside our content.
Thank you. And I'll be your moderator today. I'm Dr. Tamara Zubati. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Barometer. We're the premier brand suitability and contextual targeting solution in the podcast space. So now that we've all introduced ourselves, Alana, what problem are we solving that we're here to talk about today?
It's not really a problem, it's an opportunity. But basically just wanted to kind of step through a recent campaign that we all worked on together. So we had a brand, a hospitality brand, reach out to us and they wanted to reach World Cup fans, soccer fans, football fans, whatever you want to call it. And just around the World Cup draw. So really taking advantage of that moment. And we have lots of soccer, football coverage. Man, I really need to just choose a word. I'm going to go with football since we're here in the UK. And one of our flagship shows, Football Daily, is definitely something that we were very excited to present to the clients. And we realized actually the budget that they had meant that we probably should include more than just the football titles that we have. We should include more of our own shows. And we actually even decided that we were going to look to some of our partners who have podcasts to try and really just maximize reach and to maximize that budget. So it was great to basically be able to pull in the podcast super team to do that, because if you're really going to kind of go at the scale that this hospitality brand wanted, we weren't going to do it alone, and we don't have to do it alone.
I love that. So your goals here were to help this brand drive reach this audience. Now, we're trying to soccer fan target football, sorry. Why can't I just target the genre sports? How do you find these audiences?
You can just target the sports genre, you can just target football, but I think that's sort of narrowing the field, right? Oh, the field.
Ooh, good one.
I'm not doing this on purpose. That narrows the field because we're trying to get a soccer fan. Soccer fans don't just listen to soccer podcasts, moms don't just listen to mom podcasts. You can go on and on with this, right? I am an American woman and I listen to British news. I listen to true crime. I listen to science podcasts. I've got many interests, and so we don't need to reduce our audience down to just one interest. And I think that's what we were able to step through that conversation with the brand, and they were open to saying yeah, okay, but how do we reach those soccer folks? I guess that's where you guys all really came in to help.
Yeah, so passing it to Emma. Emma, can you tell us a little bit more about how you were able to help Alana's team reach their desired audience with NumberEight?
Absolutely. Please, I'll try. There were two approaches that we actually took using our affinity audiences. So our affinity audiences is a solution that look at most relevant audiences based on a podcast level. So we'll take the podcast and we'll try to find which audience over-index for that particular podcast. In this case, we took two of our subset of the audiences, one podcast lookalike and the second interest-based audiences. So for podcast lookalike is we took those seed shows that the client was really excited about and really wanted to target, so Football Daily. And then we went and analyzed other podcasts in a wider inventory to find other podcasts that over-index in terms of similarity for both the audience and the content. So there is a high similarity rate to say, yes, these are additional podcasts that look exactly or as close as possible to that original podcast that you were so excited about. So that's one way of going about finding similar audiences. The other way was going through interest-based audiences. Those all have components of basically demographic data as well as the content itself, but trying to find a persona that is really similar to what, well, that specific audience was football World Cup fans, look like and do that at scale. And I think that's the combination of both solutions really helped to drive what the customer was looking for and reach enough people. As we were talking about, like finding football fans, whatever they are, like trying to get that massive scale. That was, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's a great segue. One of the big learnings that we've all had through being a part of this campaign together is that it really does take a village. There's a lot of different partners that are involved in making something like this go as well as it did. And we'll share a little bit about the results soon. But Damien, I wanted to ask you, can you speak a little bit to how you and Veritonic team contributed to making sure that this campaign successfully achieves some of those reach goals, and what were some of those solutions that you used in this campaign?
Yeah, so we come in kind of after the fact to answer the question of, did it work? How did it work? Did it increase awareness and favorability and perceptions of the brand? So we operated a brand lift study by pixeling listeners at the point at which they heard the podcast or the ad, the sponsorship within the podcast. What we then do is we find those people, hopefully using pixel-based approach, find those people within a group of panelists. We have access to various different panel providers around the world. So we can find people who have agreed to do research who have heard the ad and or the podcast. We can then target them with a very customized brand lift study, asking questions specific to what BBC and their client were looking to get to. At the same time, we create a lookalike audience of people with all the same kind of demographics, interests. We can look for people who are like football enthusiasts, et cetera, but who haven't heard the ad in the wild. And then we'll serve them the same brand lift study. They answer the same questions, and then we're looking at the lift between the two. And hopefully, and we'll talk about results at some point soon, but hopefully we're looking for the people that have heard the ad saying, yeah, loved it, loved the ad, loved the company, all the rest of it. So that's where Veritonic came in this instance, was to help
yes, there. Thank you. And taking off my moderator hat for just a second, one of the ways that Barometer was involved in this is in this campaign, we were expanding to other partners outside of just the core audience, the core shows of the BBC. And so for that reason, we also partnered with y'all to apply a certain brand suitability curation to ensure that the resulting overall new set of shows continued to meet the exceptional standards that you uphold at the BBC.
Yeah, I was actually just, it's so great, honestly, just to hear all over again what happened and hear it from you guys, because I feel like we do so much of this over Zoom. Honestly, it makes a difference to be in person and talking about this. But it's just so cool to be able to come together and build something out like this, right? Like I really believe in the power of BBC content and just the craft and that goes into it. A lot of I know the people who make these shows, and it was just really crucial that we can find similar audiences and that we could deliver that safely, right? Because and I'm just in awe.
One of the things I looked at. Sports is a really interesting segment in particular. I actually spent some time this morning looking through our joint research, the podcast Compass of 2025 that we released late last year, to kind of see. And really interestingly, sports is a really overall quite a safe environment. Obviously, you do need to make sure that every single episode, because there could be some particular that comes across. But when I was looking at it, I saw overall it's such an interesting place to grow. And I think that's what made this campaign particularly interesting, and like this segment, why we see many investment around sports in particular. Obviously, hopefully more opportunities to come, but sport has been particularly interesting.
Definitely.
Totally. So I know you're all dying to hear. So how did it actually go? What are some of the results? What can we prove? What can we talk about? Damien, would you like to kick us off?
It was ace, is the answer. No, it worked really well. I mean, I don't know if there's a slide with stats, but and Alana can talk to some of this, but it worked really well. I mean, generally speaking, we do tons of these studies over the year for various different clients. And I don't think I'm showing anything secret. There was almost no negative sentiment towards the brand in particular. Even the biggest, best, well-loved brands, there's always a few people, I'm not sure about that. There was virtually no negative sentiment. The awareness, well, you can see here, awareness and intent and everything was up across the board. And then when you start looking at the relative lifts, which are the bigger numbers along the top, delving down, so you start with an audience of adults in the US, who are football or sports enthusiasts. They have to listen to podcasts once a month. So you go into all that kind of detail, but then within that you start finding the niches, that the uplifts amongst parents or high earners, and suddenly that throws open a whole new area of growth, targeting audiences for the future. So this is the real benefit of doing studies like this. It's not just, did it work? Yeah, great. Go to the agency and ask for more money. It's with these other partners here, it's like, look at these audiences. They're all over the place. And as Alana said, they're not just listening to football or rugby or American football. Or they're everywhere. And they can be anywhere. And they can be any people. But these kind of niche, specific target groups is exactly why, as Thomas said, it needs a village to make this kind of thing happen. So yeah, across the board, the results were really good. I mean,
I think that this was literally the group that we wanted to reach. We wanted to reach parents and groups that might be, thinking about traveling to go to the World Cup, and it's literally exactly what we got. And I think we also did some interesting things with the creative, which we don't typically do. It wasn't just one spot, it was 4 spots. We wanted to make sure we were telling different stories at every point in a listen, so people weren't getting fatigued by the message. So there, it's just layering all these things in. It was thoughtful and collaborative, and it got us where we wanted, and the brand was happy.
We can take it even one step further, where you tell stories customized by the different. So how do you tell parents that are football fans a particular story of like why go, how to engage?
100%.
And that becomes quite fun.
Yeah, I should have had you in the room when we were coming up with the creative.
Next time.
And I was going to say as well, we did, as part of the study, we did some creative analysis, second by second engagement analysis, and even that just shows up things, it was very likable. Again, there was some ads that we do it on, you see a tip up in boredom towards the end of the 30, 40 seconds. That didn't happen. It was, the spots were very likable, particularly around it, and it highlights things like certain mentions of special offers or certain things that this particular brand were offering that show the spike in interest, and it just feeds back more for the next time, for the next creative engagement cycle. So between all of the companies here, you can continually kind of refine and go around this almost like 360-degree loop of optimization, where you're constantly refining and improving, and more budget, more reach, more target. It comes together really well.
Yeah, I'd be so curious. Like, we should maybe test this, because we also used our BBC network voice for this campaign, and this was actually a campaign that was targeted toward U.S. audiences. And I think it's not necessarily right for every market. For example, we know that in Australia, people maybe tune out because if they don't hear an Australian voice, they think it's just sort of baked in for another country. But actually, in the U.S., I think we just know you guys are trying to talk to us. So, I'm curious actually about what that aspect of it contributed. But
well, it seems like we crushed this one. What could you share with the group about what these learnings mean in terms of what we can now unlock for future campaigns?
Well, I think it's just great to kind of be aligned, right, with different partners. We have, that's kind of the whole model for our ad revenue is about collaboration. We don't just have one sales group, we have many sales groups all over the world. We don't just have one measurement partner. We work with anyone who's willing to come to the party and contribute something meaningful. And I think that's really, really powerful, especially today, as a public media organization, to know that we can control our own fate, but it doesn't mean you do that alone. You do that with your friends. Podcast supergroup.
Emma, what about you?
I mean, I think we're always really excited to see the different things that we can do together. As I just said, the goal with data, the goal of everything is just telling better stories.
Yeah.
And that's within podcasting itself. It's a very storytelling medium. I think if you can tell better stories also in the ad and make them more powerful, that's really exciting. And obviously, we've always worked in collaboration. We're working with most of the people here and people like in the podcast space, and I think that's what's so beautiful about podcasting in general, is the ability to have so many different companies contribute their unique specialization rather than us all trying to do everything and being kind of a generalist. I think we're all really specialists in where we contribute and we know best, and I think that's where we've always worked together and across board.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I just think we just need to publicise this stuff more, because I think it still amazes me. I think we're probably all still educating people where we're talking to, because it still amazes me that you're talking to buyers sometimes and they're, oh, you can do that targeting in podcasting, oh, you can do that measurement in podcasting. Like, yeah, I mean, we're in our audio bubble, and it seems so obvious. We know it works, we know audiences are engaged, we know why, and we can prove it. And still often we are still educating. So yeah, please shout about it.
Spread the news.
Yeah, and I guess just to add, to that is that we don't just have to, there's so many different ways you can do this. It doesn't have to just be about football. It can really be around many things that we can use this as a template moving forward to serve brands who are looking to make that impact, real impact.
Yeah, so for your next cultural moment where you're trying to maximize scale, achieve provable reach, and target people not just based on the genre sports, but actually based on the holistic audiences, consider remembering this panel and this lovely group.
Basically, like there's like one con call with like just.
Yes.
Yes. Just put. What's a bat? Anyway, we'll
bat
figure
signal?
out a signal.
We need to discuss it, and I think that QR code was.
It might be
I'm
the
not wearing a
BBC
cape
logo.
next
That might actually be a good one.
We have we're the
Like
last
a bat
panel, so
signal?
in theory we have 1 minute for questions. If there is one question, we could take one question.
Please ask questions. I'll just
No pressure, just one. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Yes,
Have an
thank you,
amazing
guys.
ad week.
Thanks all.
Thank you.